All right, everybody, welcome back to our Velocity Banking training. We're going to walk you guys through this third part of our process here about how we're able to get people out of debt, be able to pay off their debts in a third of the time. So we've already learned about real estate, you may have already learned about taxes and our business, and then we'll get a chance to hear about some of those things in the future. But we want to make sure that we get you guys clear, crystal clear here on our Velocity Banking that we talk about here. So the goal behind this section here is this. We're going to show you guys how to get out of debt. Student loans, car loans, mortgages. We're going to show you guys how to credit card debt. We're going to show you how to pay those off in a third of the time and effectively be able to get started with us without the education really costing you anything. As you said, Albert Einstein, right? Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who does it pays it. So we're going to show you that. And you know, we got to combat one of those biggest issues out there across the country is student loan debt. Right? According to Forbes magazine, private college $112,000, public college $236,000. Mitch, who helped create this presentation here, says knowledge is the tool that enables you to change your mindset. Mindset is the key to changing your life. And you know, this Tony is one of our products of the product. He's actually one of our Velocity Banking instructors. 2008, when he joined our team, Tony had no real estate background. Right? He had little or no money. He was working his job. Just had his brand new son, Nakoa, there, and he was spending all his time working. He didn't really have a real estate network. Now we fast forward 9 years. Right? 9 years. He's been part of 140 different transactions. Currently owns 80 cash flowing properties. 50 of those at least are free and clear properties. We're going to show you guys how to do that here today. He invests in 6 different states. These are just a few of the properties that he's been able to acquire over that time frame. Now, he really likes single-family homes. That's where he stays and focuses. So we want to show you guys how you can be a part of this and how you can be just like Tony, going from potentially no current net worth, no current real estate deals to owning over 80. All right, some of you guys will do more, some of you guys will do less, but we're going to give you that opportunity here. So let's use an example of what we see with most people when we talk about this subject and how things work, right? This is your checking and savings account, right? Most of you guys have that. So you're generating $5,000 of income after taxes. We've got a few expenses, right? So we're going to talk about those expenses and how we can go ahead and do this. That $1,200 mortgage, it's $200,000 on 30 years, at 6% interest. We got our car there, another $12,000 loans. We're paying $600 a month at 6% interest. We've got some debt. Right, it's the credit cards or credit lines here, $15,000 limit, $12,000 balance on there. Again, you got a payment of $600 a month at 21% interest. You got your lifestyle, $1,200, all right? And then we've got our savings, right? You put $1,400 a month into savings as we do this. Now, when people want to get out of debt, and just so we understand, there's $5,000 in, $5,000 out, we've got zero cash flow. All right, all the money is being used. For what it is. And once people talk about getting out of debt, what do they tend to do? They tend to shrink that lifestyle, that $1,200 expense. All right, everybody goes, oh, I'm going to make my lunch and bring it to work. How long does that last? Maybe a week. All right, and then you revert right back to the lifestyle. When you start to shrink your lifestyle, you start to become unhappy. You start to become grumpy. We don't like unhappy investors. We want everybody to be happy. So we got 2 choices. We can shrink our lifestyle or we can shrink our debt. So we're going to focus on shrinking our debt. I'm going to show you guys how to do that here today. And that's one of the major keys with what we're doing. Now, we told you, hey, water freezes at 32 degrees. All right, some of you are going to say, yes, it does. Some of you are going to say, no, it doesn't. But the reality is we don't have enough information. Because if that's 32 degrees Celsius, no, it doesn't freeze. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it does. 0 degrees Celsius. So that 1 degree can make all the difference when we talk about this. So we got to understand that when we say something's, 21% interest versus 6% interest, which one's lower? Once again, we don't have enough information. Because one can be simple interest, one can be amortized. Go ahead and write that term down, amortization, right? Amortized loans are all front-loaded with interest. A little cheat we use here is you take that amortization rate, the 6%, multiply it by 20, and that's about what you're going to pay. You're going to pay about 120%. So when we talk about that, right, we got to understand that all loans are not created equal. So an amortized loan over here, right, it's front-loaded with interest. It's going to take me a really long time to go ahead and pay that off, versus a simple interest loan, right, over here, that simple interest loan at 21% is actually cheaper. So I'm going to show you guys that. What do I mean by you don't have enough information? So if I look at my mortgage, right, $1,200 a month payment there, my payment, $950 of that actually goes towards interest. Only $250 goes towards paying off the principal amount. Versus at 360 months, 30 years later, right, $950 goes towards paying my principal. Only $250 towards interest. See right about there, about year 16, it takes before the lines cross, and half of my payment is going towards paying down the principal. So I come out about 4 years. Right, in 4 years, I would have gone out and made 48 payments at $1,200 a month. Right, that means I paid the bank $57,000, but I only get credit for 12 because I paid down the principal. The other $45,000 is interest. The bank gets to keep that. All right, so understand that. So when we talk about cash flow perspective, we talk about lines and loans. Loans are one way. Right, if I overpay my mortgage a little bit, an extra $100 a month, well, the bank gets to keep it. It's principal plus interest. All right, principal plus interest there, I have revolving, and 100% of whatever I pay in, they get to keep. All right, if I paid a little extra on my mortgage, like some of you guys do, and I want it back, the bank's not going to give it to me. But on the line, right, I can pay it down and I can reuse it. Think about like your credit cards, right? You pay extra on your credit cards, you always can reuse it. So that principal is liquid. I got the ability to pull it back out, anything extra I pay in. And that's one of the keys when we start talking about this. So lines are better than loans. Write this down. Rule number 1. All right, lines are better than loans. Rule number 2, employee mindset, cash equals currency. With a wealthy mindset, cash equals velocity. That means that I'm able to pay off debts faster and faster, and leverage equals currency. So make sure you got those two down on a piece of paper. All right, you got those down? Awesome. So let's talk about this. So right now I've got $0 in cash flow. Now, with my savings, all right, I need to have some savings. Guys, you want to have 3 to 6 months worth of savings. After that, it's for chunks. Why? Because you're getting less than 1% in your savings account. So you're losing money every single month on that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that money, we're going to take our entire paycheck, we're going to apply it to our line. What does that do? It eliminates my $600 a month payment. Why? Because I'm paying $5,000, so that's more than the minimum. I don't have to make a minimum payment now. Also, like once we said, I got that 3 to 6 month worth of savings in my savings account. Now I can take that $1,400 and apply it as well. So what did I do? I generated $2,000 in cash flow. That $2,000 in cash flow is going to allow me to get out of debt quickly. So let's talk about this. All right, what happens? So if I take my entire paycheck, I apply it to my $12,000 line. All right. It's a $5,000 payment. It drops from $12,000 down to $7,000. But now I've got my expenses. All right, that's $3,000. So we got to have our lifestyle expenses. You're still going out to eat. You're still doing the things that you normally do and paying off all of your other bills. Right? So $3,000 come out of expenses. That means my debt just went down to $10,000. Now I do it again. $5,000 to the line, $3,000 out. All right, $5,000 in, $3,000 out. Now everybody says, well, Hugh, what about an emergency? What if I have an emergency? Well, we got 3 to 6 months worth of savings, number 1. But number 2, because we paid this down, remember it's revolving, I now have $9,000 because my debt's down to $6,000. I still have $9,000 on my line that I could always strike a check for. So if I got a family emergency, I've got something that comes up, I can always go ahead and use that to get it paid off. Again, we're using leverage, not cash. So what happens? Well, we just continue that process. All right, 5,000 in, 3,000 out. So in 6 months, I'm able to pay off $12,000 worth of debt. I want you guys to be very clear. I need you guys to understand this screen. Once you understand this, it's going to make everything else simple. All right, we apply the full paycheck, we take our expenses out, and we're able to pay off $12,000 of debt in 6 months. And this is the thing, you got to have a plan. We're going to give you guys the plan. We're going to sit down with our team. We'll lay out a plan directly for you on how to do that. So you can see how we're able to pay that off. All right? So what does that allow us to do? Well, once we pay it off, oftentimes what will happen is the bank will come back to you and say, hey, you know what? You did such a good job of paying off your debt. We're going to increase your credit limit. So give you a $10,000 increase. Now you're at $25,000 is what you're able to do this with, right? Banks want you to continue to use their funds to go out there and do things. So now we've paid off one of our debts, but now we want to attack our mortgage. So I got $12,000. I can transfer a principal, right? I'm still making my $1,200 a month payment by making an extra principal payment of $12,000. And I transfer that over to my line of credit. What does that do? Well, it puts $12,000 on there. We know we're able to pay off $12,000 in 6 months. So it's just like washing your hair, we just do it again. All right, 5,000 in, 3,000 out. Repeat that process in 6 months. We paid off $12,000 of principal balance on our mortgage. Now, remember before, it took us 4 years to pay off $12,000 on our mortgage. Now, at the 21% simple interest, we were able to pay it off in 6 months. What did that do? Well, look, guys, $1,260 is the interest we pay over that 6 months on that $12,000 balance transfer that we did. Yet, so if I was to make my mortgage payment, I would pay $45,000 in interest. You just saved over $43,000. That's a huge savings in 6 months. Now, what do? Well, we just do it again. If I can do that in 12 months, I can pay off another $12,000 worth of principal. Now, in 1 year, I paid off $24,000 and saved over $50,000 in interest, probably closer to $70,000. But as you start to see the numbers, and then I just do it again until I get that debt paid off, right? We just repeat that process. Year 2, year 3, year 4. All of a sudden, bam, my mortgage is paid off. That $200,000 mortgage is paid off. What does that do? Frees up more cash, which frees up more velocity. So what do? Now I got a car loan. All right, $600 a month payment on my car loan. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go attack that. I got $3,200, not $2,000, $3,200 because I no longer have a mortgage payment. So what happens now? I'm not paying off $12,000 in 6 months. I'm paying it off in about 3.5 months. All right, I'm able to go ahead and do that because I got less expenses. All right, so you're seeing how I'm paying this off faster and faster. Now what happens? Once again, I paid off my car loan. So now I own my car free and clear, your house free and clear, and you paid off your debt. I add $600 to that cash flow, and I'm up to $3,800 now in velocity that I can use to go ahead and pay down debt. We still have our $1,200 in lifestyle expenses. That hasn't changed. But what we've done, now if I want to pay off $12,000, right, it'd be less than 3 months to go ahead and do that using that $3,800 in velocity. So I pay the $5,000 in, all right, take $1,200 out, $5,000 in, $1,200 out, boom, I'm done in about 2.5 months. Guys, we completed step 1, debt free. And when you first start with us, you had a choice. Do I want to get out of debt or do I want to grow? All right, that's the choice you're going to make at the beginning. In this case, we decided to get out of debt first, and now we're going to grow. You guys can do the opposite. The choice is up to you. So now let's get to the next level. The next level is to start investing. Now remember, we still have our $200,000 asset there, our house. All right, and we use 80% financing on it. To do that, we can go right back out and take a HELOC, a home equity line of credit on that $200,000. What does that do? Well, we can divide that $200,000 up into $20,000 down payments that we can put on properties. Because I can go out there and I can buy 10 houses. All right, 10 houses with $20,000 down on each one. Well, I want to make sure my property's cash flow. So we're not going to make a killing on these properties. This is just for an example, right? Let's say our cash flow on the properties averages $400 a month. All right, that's up to principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and management. Those 5 expenses. So now I got cash flow of $400 a month from each one of those properties. Multiply that by 10, that gives me the $4,000. But remember, I also have the cash flow from before, the $3,800. That gives me $7,800 that I can use as velocity. The first thing I want to do is pay off my initial property again and get that free and clear. So I can go ahead and make those $7,800 chunks into it, and I can have it paid off in 2 years. All right, in 2 years, I can go ahead and have that paid off using the velocity. All right, so it's paid off again. Now, I get to go in and I can attack one of these properties, just like Tony did. So if I pitfall the first house, and I have a $100,000 mortgage on it, $7,800, right, goes into that $100,000 property, and it is paid off in 13 months. In 13 months, I'm going to go ahead and pay off that first house. Now, my mortgage payment was $800 a month at an 8% interest rate, let's say, or 6% with all of it, right? I'm paying a little extra, so we just free up $800. I free up $800, what does that do? Well, that adds more velocity. Now I've got $8,600 in cash flow. What do? I pull off house number 2. I go ahead and get that one paid off. Now I can do that in 11 and a half months. You see how this is going faster and faster. All right. Again, what's it going to do? It's going to add $800 to my velocity. And that means in year 9, I got $9,400 a month of cash flow coming in that I can go ahead and pay off the next property with. Guys, that's how simple our velocity banking is. All right? We sit down with you guys and we lay out those plans for you guys so you guys can go ahead and see that. All right, Dane Clark here, that's exactly what he did. He went out there, and you guys can pick and choose. He got a $30,000 credit line at 0% interest for 2 years. So what did he do? Well, he decided he was going to get started with us with our education and pay off this car. All right, so he's got $25,000 on a $30,000 limit there, and all he did was go ahead and just, boom, chunk it down and get it paid off. So he had all of it paid off in 10 months. Within 10 months to go ahead and pay it off. All right, that $25,000 paid off. Now guess what? He still has that credit limit. Now he uses the knowledge from the training program that he got with us. Now he's able to go out there and put that $20,000 down on a duplex. Well, what does that mean? We know it took him 10 months to pay off the $25,000, so it's going to take him about 8 months to pay off the $20,000. And then he's able to go out there and enjoy life, and now he has a cash flow in property that he can go ahead and do the same thing. He can chunk down that mortgage, right, with the $20,000 to $35,000 chunks on it to go ahead and do that. This is what most people look like when it's time to pay their bills. This is what you guys will look like once you understand our velocity banking strategy and how we're able to go ahead and do that and free you up from that cash flow. So, what's the next step in the process? The next step in the process is for you to go ahead and complete our funding sheet, and we will sit down with you and lay out the personalized blueprint plans for success on how you can do that. And when you sit down with us, we're actually going to give you our velocity banking calculator here. You can see right here, just using similar numbers, $200,000 on a $180,000 mortgage at 6% interest, that payment of $1,200, and we use that $12,000 chunk to go ahead and pay it down. With the $2,000, that means we could pay off that mortgage in 10 years, just by using the numbers we put in here, and we'll save you $79,000 in interest. All right, that's a huge savings that you guys can go ahead and do. So we out to the person that invited you here today, and they're going to get you set up with a funding sheet and a funding appointment. Give them a call or give them a text. Say, hey, I want to get my funding sheet going. I want to set up my velocity banking strategy, and I want to get this $5,000 calculator. That's the value we put behind this on how to get yourself out of debt quickly. And they'll go through and lay out a plan with you on how you guys can get started with us and start putting this into action as soon as you get started. So, pick up the phone, give them a call. We look forward to seeing you at the next step in the process. Have a great evening.